Alright, so new additions to the tier list are here. New Overlord, Collab, and Merlin. Halloween Merlin. We'll start with Halloween Merlin because she is the, I guess, boring one since it's older at this point. Halloween Merlin is surprisingly good. I was really debating if I actually should put her in meta because the team comps that were really strong for her, now with the Overlord collab, I'm not so certain are still. Because you could do pretty good using her against tier hell because you're sealing their AoEs, but you're not sealing you're not sealing the new character. The new meta character Albedo, right? So because of, like, if this was recorded pre-Overlord collab, I would have confidently put her in meta tier because she was very, very strong in a team with tier and hell. Like, that was a very, very powerful team. But, you know, things release. So I'm already putting her down. But that does not mean that I wouldn't use her at all. It's just both, like, when I look at the unknown team right now, I actually would say I would not run Echidna anymore. Like, Echidna, if you use Echidna against another unknown team, like, think about that for a second. You have 2 AoE cards. You're just dead. Like, you're gonna double AoE into a hell? Good luck, right? Like, even if you have, you know, ability to seal her healing, whatever, that doesn't matter. That just doesn't matter. So I'll put her down. I am a little confident still that Tyr can hold his own. Double single target, very strong. But he might be going bye-bye as well, down to sub-meta, depending on, you know, future characters. We should be getting a bit of a slowdown for unknown characters. Like, there's no way we're gonna get many more in you know, the months to come because we just got so many in a row. We got Unknown Festival, we had Tyr not that long ago, we got 4 new unknown characters, 3 for PvP, but you know what I mean, right? We're about to get another unknown character. We just had unknown Halloween. Like, you know, there must be a cooldown for all these unknown characters, right? So we'll see about that. But for now, I am liking Freyr to still remain there. I think his basic stab boost, you know, being the same as Echidna, but having the last restriction when it comes to his attacks is just better. Now, let me already tackle the new characters. So, I'm gonna put the obvious one first. Kokailis is dog shit in PvP. He's not a PvP character, right? His passive doesn't work. His cards are terrible for PvP. He's just not a PvP character. A character with no passive in this day and age, even if his cards are amazing, his stats can be amazing. If he doesn't have a passive, no, no, right? So, I think the simplest one will be Shaltear here. So Shaltear can be a very strong character. Like, in the right scenario, you can make her look absurd. You can make, you know, clips of her where she will have, you know, 2 level 2 cards, and then the enemy lets you pop off with her, and she will, like, one-shot 2 of the enemy's team, right? And with a lot of space as well. Like, she's gonna one-shot them and do an extra, like, 800k on top, just to just to flex, right? But that's very far in between. Usually when you use Shaltear, you're just gonna get demolished because the enemy is gonna ult rush with Albedo, and you're gonna attack her, take a counter, and that's it. But that's the end of it. Like, that's what happens 90.2% of the time that you use Shaltear, because all the time you're also losing against other non-Albedo teams. But it's just very specific character. I mentioned how she's like a worse version of Purgatory Melee. A lot of people that haven't used her said that she's a better version of Purgatory Melee. But here's the issue with her, right? So Purgatory Melee has her passive. but more intuitive and actually good. She gets a stack every time your allies are attacked or when she does damage. Keep in mind, when she does damage means that if you attack on dodge food, or I don't know, they patience, which is unlikely, they're not gonna, yeah, they could patience if you attack into a non-bleeding enemy, but unlikely, mainly for dodge, right? If you attack into dodge food, her stack does, you don't get a stack. Unlike Purgatory Melee where he does, but is that inconsequential? I don't think so, because you are facing dodge food all the time. You might want to use a card just to, you know, get a stack in, but they might happen to have dodge. But regardless, while you have no stacks, this character is doing nothing, while Purgatory Melee gives damage reduction to your team. On top of that, you know, the stacks even give her a little bit of HP, but that's it. Like, they're not giving anything to the team, so she's completely selfish. And let's say, for example, right, you have 2 stacks. Like, the enemy attacked you twice. Or even better, you just have 1 stack, because the enemy put a taunt, attacked into your dodge, then attacked again, so you got 1 stack, right? You need to attack twice with her for that, you know, let's say the enemy doesn't even, like, attack you again the next turn, right? Like, let's give it, like, a terrible scenario, just for you to understand what happened to me many times. The enemy just didn't attack me because they ult rushed, and this unit was just a sitting duck, right? Like, you need to, like, I don't know, attack them twice, or hope they attack you twice again, just for you to, in the next turn, get the attack buff. Say if you have 1 stack you need, if you attack once, you're not gonna have the attack buff until next turn. It's not like Melee, where if you need to remove 1 stack from him, and you attack once, you're gonna have the buff, then you can attack again with the buff. Much more intuitive, much more practical. A unit that's not practical is not meta. It's just how it is. Characters that need super much setup don't tend to be meta, because guess what? People that are, you know, functional with brains will try not to let you set up stuff, right? That's just, if you are playing the game, you don't want to let the enemy win. And most people in with good teams will know what Shaltear does and try to play around her passive, which is very easy to play around. So, unfortunately, she's a very specific character. If the enemy just so happens to not have bleed as well, her single target doesn't do any damage. I will say that because she can... Where is she? Huh? I guess I moved tab and I don't know where she is now. Oh, there she is. Because she can be very impressive, I will leave her in sub-meta. I cannot in good conscience put her in meta when I know. Like, there could be a few good teams that are going to place high with her right now. Soon enough, you know, people are going to stop using her because they're going to realize they're losing because the enemies are not letting them play. Right? It's just going to happen. I've had characters like this pop around in the past so many times where they can look very impressive. You can make them look very impressive, but because they need so much setup, they're not practical. You can win against bots all the time. If you Shaltear against bots, you're gonna have a great time, but against people with brains, it just doesn't work, right? That has happened many times in the past with other characters, and it's just happening again. It's a tale as old as time with these characters that require a lot of setup. So now, in the past, I have made separations between whale characters. So if I scroll down, you can see like these. This is accidentally added an extra Jormungandr, and this website does not actually remove stuff. But these 2 characters right here. In the past, I've separated between. Let's say you're not a whale. Like for you, Fraudrin was terrible. But at the time, if you were a whale, Fraudrin was really good. Because if you had, you know, 15% UR gear, full cosmetics, upgraded, he was really, really good. And 6/6, right? No, that didn't last very long, but you know. That was the distinction I had. Now, I almost thought about doing the same for Ainz. Because Ainz if you have him 1/6, he's garbage. Like, he's actually garbage. Genuinely garbage. Maybe I could slide him and can be fun to use. Like, he's like Eren at 1/6. Legit, like, he's just really bad at 1/6. Because his passive scales with ultimate, right? I hope they have it properly here. So, the Mark of Death debuff that, you apply by using him scales with ult at 1/6 through 3/6. So even if you have him 3/6, it's still garbage at 2% damage reduction. Now, if you have him 6/6, the story changes a bit. He's actually pretty good. If you have max damage reduction with Ainz, he's actually pretty good, And I think the 6/6 Ainz could be good in the future as well. Like, this is a character that, if dupe stones existed in this game, it could be worth pulling and then over the years giving him dupes, because I can see him being good for a while. Because his passive is a little odd right now with the current meta, because Hell is almost every match. Like, basically every match I play is against Hell, and trying to AoE with Ainz to apply Mark of Death to all the enemies is very awkward, but the one-shot mechanic can come up against Albedos, because she's so tanky, and if you go first against them especially, now that, another thing, like if you're a whale, you can do that very easily, but if you're not, it's really hard, right? If you're going against them like first turn, very consistently, you can apply 3 marks to Albedo and then single target with Ainz, and they're dead next turn. Like, you don't have to worry about killing her normally because she's just gonna die from the Declaration of Death. So, but that's assuming you have him 6/6, because if you don't, you're not gonna tank the following hits. If you don't have the max damage reduction, you're dead. So it's like, there is a big asterisk with Ainz that I'm gonna rate him highly, because the way I rate every character in this list right here is at max potential. Every character I rank is assuming full cosmetics. Not to mention, cosmetics for collab characters are paid, right? Every character I rank in this list is maxed, because if I ranked every character at 1/6 no cosmetics, I guess that could also work, right? Either I have to rank every character with no cosmetics 1/6, or full cosmetics, max upgraded 6/6. There cannot be a in-between, right? It's one or the other. So in this situation, how I've been ranking is everyone 6/6, everyone max cosmetics, everyone good UR gear. And that's how I'm going to rank Ainz. Even Eren is sitting here with all these denominators, but that's how I'm going to rank Ainz. And he is meta. If you have him 6/6 with full cosmetics upgraded, so he can tank as well, so you don't die and lose the stacks, right? Because I believe if he dies, you lose the Declaration of Death. If you have one of the enemy characters tagged by it. Very defensive UR gear as well if you're going to play him on geared. Then for the time being, I can make him work against other teams that are using meta teams like Tier Albedo and Hell, and work well. But I kind of want to average out and say that I'll put him in sub-meta. Because 99.999% of people watching this video aren't whales. I know that. I know that for a fact, because I read comments. I know the people that watch me, right? And for you, that's not going to be the case. He is going to be garbage. So I'm going to average out and put him here. But if you are a whale, if you want like 10 or 15 whales watching, getting him 6/6, fully cosmetics, you're going to have a good time with him. He's a very good unit at that point. Why did they leave Albedo at the end? Because it's obvious, she's God's here. I don't think there's anything for me to say about her. She's just meta, like every other match. Most matches, like dominant amount of matches you're going to be facing her because she's really, really, really powerful. And I don't think there's anything else more I can say about her. She's just God tier. She's OP. How long is she going to be OP? This is the thing. I think, you know, looking at what Albedo does and how dominant she is, I can see the November or December festival ignoring damage reduction. With, you know, Unknown getting true damage reduction dominant characters right now, I can 1,000,000,000% foresee that a damage reduction ignoring character could release. That is a could, so don't take it as like, oh, that's the happening. But, you know, I've seen them many, many times release OP characters and then right after release a character that counters them like in a very specific way. We've seen that happen so many times. So for me to imagine that's not going to happen would be silly. So right now she's OP. If you're pulling for the collab, pick her as your guaranteed. You don't need dupes. Like, obviously cosmetics are going to be good, and cosmetics for collab characters are paid only, which is cringe. But, you know, just putting, I mean, obviously characters are going to be better with cosmetics, right? Characters are always going to be better with cosmetics, but it is a point for the collab characters that, you know, if you are free to play, you're not going to be able to max them. So, for example, is she realistically better than other character in meta tier if you have them with full cosmetics and her not? That's definitely a point to make, but I would say so. If you're going to be using her in Unknown, even with no paid cosmetics, I would say she's better than any of the other alternatives. Like the tier, Hell, Albedo, and Nanashi team is better than any alternative of Unknown team, in my opinion. But you can make the case for other teams. Honestly, you know, being able to beat that team with not that much problem, like ult rushing with Ferodrin is really not that bad against this team. And, you know, there's ways, right? In any case, that's it for the PvP characters. This collab is interesting. I think that they had good ideas. I think if Ainz released without this terrible, like, whale-only dynamic of his, he would be a beloved character for years to come. But now that, you know, people are gonna always, you know, have a little odd feeling about this release because of it, I'm pretty sure. Like, if you... It might not be so bad right now because it's not on global yet, but when it's released on global, I just know. Shaltear was, like, they had good ideas with her. If they just changed her passive to not have the terrible, terrible, terrible application of only being at the beginning of turn, where you can get the frenzy buff, she would be a much better character. But, you know, little tweaks could have made these characters. I mean, mainly these two. I mean, Albedo doesn't need tweaks. Like, Albedo does not need tweaks. I mean, I'm mainly talking about Ainz and Shaltear here. Very, like, minuscule tweaks to these characters would have made them quite a bit better. What Shaltear reminds me of is Rudius. Rudius is a very similar character. I mean, now I wouldn't put them in the same... I would say Shaltear is way better than Rudius right now. But when Rudius came out, he was in that same situation where he can be super powerful and you can have moments that he pops off. But those moments are far in between and require a lot of setup. Like, they are such similar characters, it's impressive. Like, in that situation, like, obviously the kits are different, but when you look at them, I see the same character. I see a character that can be really good on paper. You can make clips that they look insane, and like, and you point at it like, oh, look at this. You're wrong. They're really good. Look at them doing damage. But in practice, you know, it is what it is. I think she could be really good in Guild Wars because, I don't know. I don't know how tanky she is, but, you know, Guild Wars requires a lot of tankiness, right? But the fact that she's really good against bots. So is Rudius, right? Like, characters that require a lot of setup are really, really good against AI. If this character worked good against PvE, she would be, you know, maybe better. Speaking of PvE, I'll take a sip of water real quick. Let's see. So, Merlin is garbage because her passive, I believe, doesn't even work in PvE. I could be wrong, but even if it does, it doesn't matter. Even if it does, this is why. Oh, oh I forgot the R. Even if her passive does work, oh, it doesn't even say here. I don't think it does. I maybe it wasn't a raid or something. I used her and her passive didn't really work. Oh, it's because all allies need to be unknown in battle. Maybe I went in with her like that. It doesn't matter. Even if her passive worked in PvE, it's still, she's not a good PvE character. Like, realistically, in what PvE activity could you possibly use Merlin that she would be good at? Like, really? I don't think of any at all. So, you know, there's that. Shaltear. Does her passive... Okay, I need to open the game to see if her passive works in PvE. I believe it does. It does. But, I think you can say, like, you could use her, but it's like... You're gonna need the enemy to be able to be bled. Like, okay, similar situation here with Hell. Like, for her passive to be good, it requires the enemy to be able to be debuffed by this kind of specific debuff, and majority of difficult activities don't allow that. So, not even just difficult activities, like, I can see her being good maybe for gold farming, but she has a single... Nah, okay. Let's go Ainz. So Ainz, his Declaration of Death is a regular debuff, so... could his damage reduction be good somewhere? Assuming that his passive can apply to maybe the demonic beasts. Maybe. That's a big maybe. I just wouldn't use him. Yeah, I can put him like next to a unevolved Green Askener here. Unevolved, but you know, non-LR Green. I guess you could. Does his passive even work in PvE? It does, okay. I guess you could use him for like some PvE stages. But like why? Like genuinely, like why? Why would you use Ainz in PvE ever? I don't see a reason ever, like at all. Let's go. Albedo is really good. The thing is, I kind of want to put her here, but I don't know. Because okay, I will, because she can be really fast. If you don't have Roxy and you need to farm dogs, like she's a phenomenal character. But I don't believe that any future hard, you know, Demonic Beast stages in the future will allow her to work. Like anything that requires or that has difficulty, I think in the future, because of her especially, they're gonna start increasing the damage reduction towards counters. I believe so. That is something they've done in the past when Estarossa was released, and you know he became something that everybody started using because he was super OP. Basically, every new PvE activity that came out, you couldn't use counters. Like, counters did less damage. They did insanely extra damage against insane numbers against counters, or you know, stances, just stances in general, right? So I don't believe that this could be a thing, but who knows, right? Who knows? I'll keep her there. Maybe in the future she could be very good as well. I mean, again, right now she's good for dog farming a little bit. Now, Cockhitis. Odd. Odd. You know, Kizuna was something that spoiled us, I feel like. She's like the gold standard, the way I see, for these free collab characters. And unfortunately, we haven't had characters like her again for these collabs. You know, Arena, or whatever her name is like an attempt, but you needed Rudius for it to work. It's super specific. You're never really using her if you don't have Rudius. It worked for a little while for fast farming on final bosses, but I'll give him this, right? I'll give him this. He has a use case. If a final boss occurs that he could be good for, then hell yeah. But as of the current moment of me recording this video, he has no use in the game at all. So yeah. Anyways, we'll see how the meta evolves in the coming weeks and months, mainly months. After the next few festivals, we should be looking at a overhaul because end of year festivals are brutal. Remember last year we had the one ultimate, that was brutal. Purgatory Melee, huge. So wait for that.